Welcome to the very first Grapple Worlds podcast, available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe. Today, I'm going to have a conversation with Emma Hitchcock, who has already fought on Grapple Worlds 1, but you're appearing on Grapple Worlds 2. Emma, how excited are you feeling?
I am really excited about this match now. The first match was over very, very quickly, and I just walked into the gym. Sorry, I'm just actually really pleased that they're having me back, to be honest.
Well, it is fantastic to have you back because, as you say, your first match was over very quickly. Let's just recap what happened at Grapple Worlds 1.
I was against a really lovely girl called Ino, who is actually a savage. I think we were hand fighting and sort of wrestling a little bit for about a minute, and pretty much as soon as we went down to the ground, she had me in some sort of footlock, which I had to ask her what it was afterwards. It was a Vogue lock. And that was it. I had to tap from there.
Amazing, and I was very pleased to see you there, but sad that it was over so quickly.
I know.
But you know, we're ready for Saturday, the 28th of March, up at Kasim Stadium once again. Go and get your tickets from grappleworlds.com. The tickets are available on Eventbrite. So, Emma, you're preparing for Grapple Worlds 2, and you are up against Indy Briar, and you are fighting out of the red corner. So let's talk about the preparation that you're putting in place, ready for March.
Okay, so to be honest, I don't really look at my opponents too much. I look at maybe a little bit to see, are they going to pull guard? Are they going to wrestle? With India, I actually have no idea what she's going to do, which in a way is quite nice for me because it means that I can literally just focus on what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on my game and what I want to work on, which after my last match, I've been focusing a lot on legs.
Good. I like to hear a good leg game because in these sub-onlys, I don't know what the percentage is, but I feel like the submission attempts on the legs, are very popular.
Yeah, I definitely, and I think they are. I think you have to have a really good understanding of the legs at the very least. And at the moment, I think mine is flapping behind just a little bit.
There is time, Emma. There is time. Yeah. So you are a purple belt fighting in the under 61 kg division against Indy, and you're having to go through weight cut at the moment, or you are cutting at the moment. Let's talk a bit about your kind of routine and how you're working towards that.
So in the last, since I've been a purple belt, really, I've just been competing at middleweight because I am in my 40s now, and my priority has been trying to build muscle and get strong. And what nobody really talks about is when you are doing that, you are going to weigh more. So I just accepted that, and I just went up a weight category. So all my fights have been at middleweight so far. But I really wanted this match against Indy because she's also, I think she's kind of around our age. And I don't, and I on a sub only, I've never had that before. I've always fought girls that are at least sort of 15 years younger than me. So I am eating very well at the moment to cut the weight down. I'm making good progress at the moment.
Good. I am really excited for any women over the age of 40 that are taking part in invitationals. We are now beginning to make up such a higher percentage of the jiu-jitsu demographic, certainly in the UK and even more so in the US. But it's just joyous to be celebrating people like yourselves on invitationals like Grapple Worlds and various other events around the UK. It's just so inspirational. And to be able to talk to you, find out a bit more about you and what you kind of stand for. You know, for me, it's really important as a fellow jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm not in your level of competitiveness, Emma, but one day maybe.
Yeah.
But you spoke about the weight gain in lifting weights and kind of focusing on the strength and conditioning. Some of us, all of us, maybe everyone may well know that muscle weighs heavier than fat. And that's a consequence of becoming stronger and having more strength and longevity for us to continue training jiu-jitsu. How much of a physical impact has that had on you since you've been noticing that the kind of development in your strength?
Oh, it's huge. I don't think I would, you know, when I go and train, and I'm often sat there training with like 22-year-old boys who want to wrestle.
Yeah.
If I wasn't focusing on keeping strong, I just don't think that I would even. I don't think I'd even get to train properly if I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps you, keeps all your joints healthy, keeps your joints stronger,
Yeah.
makes you a little bit more resilient. I'm not saying that it's gonna. Preventing injury from being stronger. Last year was probably my worst year for injury, but
Okay.
I do think that recovery from it makes it way easier. Keeps
Yeah.
you going for.
Yeah. And have you seen the kind of definition in your body with the strength work?
A little bit, yeah.
Come on, we all love seeing the biceps or the whatever quadriceps develop and have definition. Everyone is looking for that delineation between fat and muscle at some point, whether we were kind of through school
Bit,
trying to
yeah.
demonstrate how strong we were, or now going actually it. I was going to say pull guard. Okay, let's not talk about pulling guard because I know anyway. It's sub only. It's a different story. We're talking about kind of collar ties and arm drags.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to feel our own strength. Do you at all feel empowered with your kind of how you're operating in the sport of jiu-jitsu now?
Yeah, and I really really do. And I sort of when you can train and you feel stronger and you realize that how much your body can do,
Yeah.
I think that's one massive motivating factor that just kind of keeps you going. You look at I was training on Saturday with a girl called Chloe Roberts, who's just got the henchiest arms I've ever seen, and now I'm like, I want arms like her because she just collar drags me, arm drags me all over the place.
Nice.
I just get so it is more about what your body can actually do with that kind of physicality.
Yeah.
So.
And I think there's a difference. What comes to mind at the moment is seeing we're of a similar sort of generation, Emma, but seeing the bodybuilding women all kind of glossed up in the kind of 90s and the early 2000s, and feeling like their bodies are so incredible but out of our reach. But the strength and the kind of physical being that women in jiu-jitsu own quite rightfully is closer to our to be able to achieve for anyone, whether we've just started training jiu-jitsu or whether we've been in the sport for a while, kind of playing without so much strength and conditioning work. But it feels quite empowering to be inspired by women like you and so many others demonstrating that strength. It's so exciting.
I just I came into, so I actually own a little CrossFit gym, and when I was first coming into that sport was sort of around 2012ish, and I think there was just being a push of women starting to weightlift at that point. And again, it was just like, oh, look, these women can deadlift and they can back squat and they're doing pull-ups and they're doing all kinds of things, which is amazing. And now I've gone into the jiu-jitsu world a few years ago, and now these girls, like we were talking earlier about the young girls in the sport, and it's almost like a given. It's like, of course they're strength training, like, of course they're doing all of that stuff. Like, why would you not? You want that extra little bit of oomph behind you, strength behind you.
Like you say, you know, we're fighting some of the kind of teenage 20-something-year-old guys, and if we didn't have strength, we wouldn't be able to perform in a way that they can, and that kind of boost of testosterone that we need to match, because there are so many more of them in the gym. But actually, you know, it feels quite good sometimes being able to okay, I'm going to go there, you know, subbing someone much younger and going, yes, I've still got it.
I've still got a bit there. There's still fight in me.
There's fight in all of us, Emma. We know it. We know left. It. We've got lots of years left yet, Emma.
No, of course.
And that's the point, that, you know, we're not teenagers. We're 40-somethings. We're wanting to continue in this sport for as long as possible. And that strength and conditioning work is just ultimately important. Now, you mentioned your CrossFit gym. I don't think it's that much of a little gym, Emma. Let's give it a bit of a plug. Tell us where it is. And, you know, is this a full-time job for you on top of training?
Yeah, I own it. So it's a little gym right in Brighton, down on the south coast. And our ethos here is just to make people as strong as they can and have fun while they're doing it.
Amazing.
That's what they try and do.
That's so good. This is the Grapple Worlds podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. The sponsors of Grapple Worlds 2 are Zebra. Go and follow them. ZebraMats_UK on Instagram. Soul Taker Fightwear, Grapple app, Pure Recharge, 10th Planet Banbury, and 10th Planet Milton Keynes. Go and follow them all over on Instagram. And as always, go and check out the clips on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at ju.jitsu.lu. Can't even remember my own handle. And I will be collaborating with Grapple_Worlds. And remember to go and buy your tickets over on grappleworlds.com. Today, I'm having a conversation with Emma Hitchcock. Emma, you train out of Elements Martial Arts, is that right?
Elements Martial Arts, yeah.
Down in Brighton. Tell us what the gym vibe is like.
It's the only gym that I've ever trained at. And I think I've been really lucky, actually, because my coaches are all very supportive of women's jiu-jitsu, which I love. And then I think because of that, there has been like this, especially recently, there's been a big influx of new women coming through.
Yeah.
In all the beginner classes and stuff. When I started, I think I did 6 months training. We hit COVID, and I think just before we hit COVID, there was a lot of women training. Yeah. And then we came back from COVID, and there was, I think, a lot of them had sort of dropped off a little bit.
Yeah.
So now seeing these girls come through, and again, it's that same thing we were just talking about of when you realize what your bodies can do when they sit there, then they're wrestling guys and they realize that they're not fragile.
Yeah.
And that they can do it. It's so nice to see.
Yes, absolutely. And I find it really lovely that you've always trained at the same gym, but also equally find it, you know, quite saddening that, you know, having a lot of women start the gym, there being, you know, COVID lockdown, and then them not necessarily coming back straight away. I think having that continuity, seeing and having role models like yourself that can show up continuously in training is just exceptional. And I just want to support you more and encourage more women, because you and I both know that it just gives us so much more than what might be seen from the outside world, whether that's training, competing, or showing up on invitationals like Grapple Worlds 2.
Yeah, and I think for some women as well, it's just, for some people, it's their social life, or for mothers, it could be the hour that they get away from everything else that they have to deal with, or
Yeah.
it's so much more than just like the training and the competing, I think, side to it. I teach a women's class on a Friday night, and what I love from that is, the mums are coming in to train with their daughters now.
Yeah.
So I have 3 mums, all with daughters who train jiu-jitsu, and sometimes it is just about having that connection.
Yeah.
With them, which I think is really nice as well.
I've definitely mentioned before about having connection with your children or kind of partners, that it's not on screens, that you're actually being physical, you're connecting, you've got something to talk about that is not sat in front of a screen, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've just got that, that common ground. It's really funny to watch the relationships between the different mums and the daughters as well. So we've got one mum and daughter that really go for it, and they're really trying to tackle each other to the ground. And then you've got another mum and daughter. Every time the mum sweeps the daughter, she gets a little kiss on the head. And it's really it's so sweet.
It is such a great connection builder, not just for that relationship, but role modeling for other really healthy connections inside the gym and kind of in the wider world, which I think, all of the positive implications of training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is so underrated for the outside world. It gives us so much more.
I think it just gives you that extra level of confidence. If you think you're constantly, especially in the very, very beginning, when you don't really know jiu-jitsu, you know that you're likely to walk onto the mat and be the only woman on the mat. You might also be the only woman and be the smallest person in the room as well. And I think that every time you get over that and get onto the mat, you're putting yourself into a really uncomfortable position. And then you just consistently keep doing that, and it just becomes a little bit more comfortable. And I think that also transfers into other areas of your life. So anything that you then feel uncomfortable with, just keep consistently putting yourself into that position, and it just becomes a little bit, I'm not saying it always comfortable, but it becomes easier to deal with or cope with.
Okay, tell us how you're approaching your mindset. We've spoken a bit about your kind of strength and conditioning training, and we'll talk about your training, jiu-jitsu training as well, and obviously your leg lock game. But how are you approaching Grapple Worlds 2 as far as mindset? Because some of us, it would be completely out of our comfort zone. We would never ever consider showing up on a stage like Grapple Worlds 2 and being surrounded by audience, being surrounded by the spotlight and cameras. How are you feeling about the whole thing?
What I try to remember is the feeling after. Like I know that regardless of whether I win or lose, as long as I've put in the best performance that I can, I know that I'm going to come away absolutely buzzing. Like, and that's always what I try to remember. I like, in preparation to any of these kind of shows, I always just try to make sure that I'm consistent with my training, and I try and train at least 4 times a week jiu-jitsu, and make sure that I'm focusing on whatever it is that I've decided to focus on. So leg locks currently. That always helps me to feel like I've done everything that I can do. And then my focus when I go into any competition is always the same thing. I always give myself one thing to focus on, and currently for the last few, it's always been the same thing of just go in and do the same kind of jiu-jitsu that you would try and do in the gym. And that's always my focus. And I feel like if you've prepped really well and you know that you've given 100% and you've performed the best that you can perform, I feel like you won't be regardless of the outcome. I don't think you would feel disappointed, because there's always going to be good things to take away. I have done a few competitions where I haven't done that.
Yeah.
And I've won, and I've been like, I don't feel good about that. And then I've had other matches where I think I put in the best performance I've ever put in, and I've lost, but I've still come away buzzing.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for preparing, putting in the best performance, regardless of winning or losing. Obviously, we all hope to win and walk away with that achievement, but it sounds like the real achievement is knowing you've just done the best you possibly could, and the fulfillment from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also you need, like, there's only 2 of us on the mat at the time. There's a 50-50 chance that you're going to win or lose. So there's always going to be a loser. There's always going to be a winner. There's only going to be one of each.
Yeah.
So, you know, as long as you give it everything, then it's a win.
Amazing. Do you have any shout outs or any mentions that you want to drop before we wrap up the episode, Emma?
I would just say a big thank you to all my training partners. Obviously I mentioned all the girls, but I didn't mention the guys either. I did say that, you know, wrestling against all these 20-something-year-old boys, but these 20-something-year-old boys also treat me like their little sister, and they take me under their wing and sort of give me good training rounds. So yeah, shout out to those guys.
Good. Amazing. Well, I wish you all the luck coming out of the red corner on Saturday, the 28th of March, up at Kasim Stadium for Grapple Worlds 2. I am so excited to see not just you, but every other competitor and athlete on the card that day. It's just going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well.
Good. Right, Emma, if people aren't following you already, how can they follow your journey to Grapple Worlds 2?
You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Emma Louise Hitchcock, but I spelt my surname wrong when I first set my Instagram up years and years ago. So yeah, just
we will
okay at the end. Yeah.
we will make sure all the links are in the show notes. Go and follow Emma. Go and follow Grapple Worlds. Go and follow all of the sponsors. And remember to get your tickets for Grapple Worlds 2 on Saturday, the 28th of March. Cool. That's it, Emma. You can go now.
What's in my head? Really, so someone just came in the gym, and I was like, as to, like, right at the very beginning.
Right, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Right. I hope you enjoyed this very first episode of Grapple Worlds. It can only get better. Tell your friends about this show and even drop it a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Grapple Worlds podcast.